It all started when StarNews golf writer Brian Mull asked for reader nominations on the best holes from around the region. On the 4th of July weekend, the nominations were tallied, and the course was designed. On paper, the course was perfect. It was difficult, with water coming into play on 14 of the holes. It was picturesque, with island greens, narrow fairways, and green-hugging bunkers. Then the real insanity was introduced. Along with sports editor Dan Spears and Brian, 2 lucky readers were selected to play the course in one day. Shortly after 6:30 a.m. on July 29th, Dan, Brian, Pam Jobin, and Andre Brillard set out for the dream course.
Hi, I'm Dan Spears. I'm the sports editor over at the StarNews, and it's about 7:45 in the morning, and we're about to hit the first shot of the day, and hopefully this will go mostly straight.
I'm Brian Mull, the golf writer at the StarNews, and looking forward to this adventure. Hopefully the storms will stay away.
I'm Andre Brillard, and I play out of Landfall, and I'm looking forward to this long day.
I'm Pam Jobin. I'm with EWGA, and I live in Leland at Magnolia Greens, and I play a lot at Carolina National.
Having mapped out a strategic route taking them from north to south, the first tee box was the par 4 15th at River Landing. Water on the right if you get into some serious trouble, but the morning dew on the fairways was enough to slow the ball down. None of the 4 would reach the green in 2, but would all finish. The distance finish on the hole goes to Dan, who dropped this one from 10 feet. Staying at River Landing, it was on to the par 4 18th, the picturesque 18th. As the side-facing waterfall and the greenside bunkers stared the players in the eye, they were undeterred, as both Brian and Andre easily found the green. But Brian's putt came up 1 revolution short, and the players would move on to the next course. A rush to the van, a click of the seatbelt, and the 4 were on to Old Point, where they would tackle the first of their par 5s. The rapid transition from golf course to air conditioning back to golf course proved to be a challenge for all 4 players, even for that of Brian, the defending amateur champion in the city, who pulled his tee shot left and found out of bounds. Dan, who is showing off his ball after already finding a tree at River Landing, decides to play follow the leader with Brian and also goes left. As does Andre on the next shot. On Pam's turn, she decided to show the boys that the fairway is where you're supposed to be. After the players saw just about every inch the hole had to offer from tee box to green, they finally made it onto the green, where a few dozen putts later, the last ball went in, and they were on to Castle Bay.
Hi, this is Brian Mull from the StarNews. We've got the group coming over to play the 5th hole.
After a quick heads-up phone call to the pro shop, the foursome arrived at Castle Bay a little bit after 10, already creeping up to 85 degrees, and with the wind picking up. On the first of the group's par 3s, Brian Mull found the right side of the green. Dan went a little bit over, and Andre rolled his chip shot just on the short side of the hole. Then was over the bridge and on to the next course at Porter's Neck. The roads this time took him to the par 4 13th with water on the left. All 4 players were able to avoid the water, and all gave themselves similar shots right around the green. Brian was first to attempt the shot, coming up just short on the high side. Pam took a similar route, but ended up on the short side. After taking notes, Andre decided to use the flat stick and had a good run at it right here. He wouldn't get that help from the wind, but he had the early highlight of the day. As the temperatures crept a little closer to 90 degrees, the right combination got him through the gates into Eagle Point, where the distance par 3 and some heavy wind was their next challenge. None of the players were able to find the green off the tee on the difficult par 3 10th, but on his second shot, Andre showed some beach skills as his trap shot proved to be very useful. Not to be outdone, Pam lined up from about 60 feet and just about holed it, missing on the right edge of the cup. She would tap her next one in to save her par, and then the group was off to the second hole at Eagle Point, also a distant par 3. Brian attempted to get a gate on the wind on the hole, but still managed to put his tee shot over the green. Andre, once again taking notes, put his on the green, setting himself up for a par. He would tap in the short putt for 3, and the group was off to another par 5. The length of the par 5 meant it was time to break out the big clubs, but the highlights of the hole went to Pam and Andre. First it was Andre using the wood from the fairway, who played a nice little fade into the green and reached it in 2. Pam, finally getting in a rhythm, having played 3 holes on one course for the first time all day, has a great run at this little chip from just off the back edge.
Nice job.
It flirts with the hole as it tickles the right lip. Temperatures had finally hit the mid-90s by midday, and the group was tallying their scores on their way to landfall. Pars were in abundance for the group on the picturesque par 4 7th of the Nicholas course, but the shot of the hole went to Dan, who found green with his iron. All 4 players were able to set themselves up nicely with tee shots on the 8th, but the island green that awaited him proved to be a bit of a devil. Dan was one of the players that overutilized the drop zone. But on the positive side of things, Brian lined up a 40-foot uphill putt on the backside of the green and gave it an excellent run. Set himself up for a tap-in, and he had back-to-back pars working. The wind was still working overtime for the players as they hustled over the bridge, into the carts, and over to the die course. Playing on what he considers his home course, Andre decides to use his putter from off the green, gives it an uphill run at it, and plays a great pace. Having learned a little something, Pam decides to do the same, using her flat stick from about 15 feet off. She also gives it a great run and sets herself up for a tap-in.
My fave club.
The well-played hole gets a positive result from Andre's gallery. The true sportsman that he is, he goes over and speaks with his fan club before realizing he's still on a schedule. After a quick visit to the drive-thru window, the group was off to play the core of Wilmington. First stop is the Muni number 3. Andre owned the highlight here as he has a little chip shot over the bunker and puts himself within 3 feet. Brian, also trying to make a move from off the green, puts his putt just about 2 feet short. Getting back in the car en route to Cape Fear Country Club, the temperature started falling, but unfortunately so did the raindrops. With the players now looking at double-digit wind gusts into their face, it was Pam who was able to find the center cut of the fairway with her drive. Brian, having gone a little bit stray to the left, breaks out the big wood for his second shot and comes up with possibly his shot of the day as he finds the front of the green. Brian's ensuing putt runs its way up the hill and swing breaks about 10 feet.
That's good.
To the naked eye it looked in, and it just missed. The next stop was Echo Farms, where the 4 carted their way to the very long 17th hole. Tee shots in the fairway allowed the players to score a little bit, and Pam decided to go dancing with her approach shot. Maintaining consistent play around the greens, Andre was able to put his chip shot close as well, setting himself up for a little tap-in. And then the real road trip came. Having already played 9 different courses, the group set out on the road trip down south. They found their way to Southport and, still wearing their golf spikes, hopped their way onto the ferry on the way to Bald Head Island. Once on the island, the group found their cart, hopped on a ride to the course. What awaited them was the 444-yard par 4 9th and a bunch of nasty weather. The winds at Bald Head were so intense, in fact, that Dan's approach shot into a wind-bent flagpole was nowhere to be seen. It forced Brian to turn his hat backwards on a chip shot that also wound up short. Andre was able to salvage something as he knocked it in from 7 feet. After holding off for the better part of the day, the real rain started to fall on the final hole of the day, the 12th hole of Bald Head Island. Brian tried to end on a happy note as he put his pitch shot inside all others. But the shot of the day was Dan's final shot. From just off the green, he appears to hit the ball a little thin, but it finds the flag stick and sticks. Get one more look at that one. Brian would also go out on a high note, though, as he dropped this one from 12 feet to save par on the 16th and final hole. Due to varying factors, the group was only able to play 16 of the Dream 18, but all 4 of them came out with a lasting experience.
The course,
Yep.
It was tough. Really, really difficult. Going from course to course and playing just a couple of holes or one hole was really difficult. A lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
It was probably the most unusual, difficult round of golf I ever had in my life. One hole was more difficult than the other, but it was exhilarating and something that probably had never been done here before, and I really, really enjoyed it.
I don't think I understood or appreciated what I was getting four of us into. I knew it was going to be an incredible challenge. It exceeded any expectations that I had.
It was a really fantastic experience. It was a lot of fun. I wish I'd hit a few more good shots, but it was all I expected it to be and a lot more.
At my age, you sit in the car for 45 minutes to an hour, you try to get out, you're a little stiff, and the longer we went, the stiffer I got when I got out of the car. And then it's difficult to get up to the tee and be flexible because you can't get a rhythm into your game.
Golf is difficult when you can play all the holes in a row on the same course, and then when you pick 18 of the most difficult holes in the area and try to play them all in one day. Just a phenomenal challenge, great time, great group of people to do it with. We had some laughs. All of us, I think, would have liked to hit a few more good shots, but there's always next time.